And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro, and today I'm being joined by Mr. Duane Inglin, all the way from the Pacific Northwest. Duane, how the hell are you?
I'm good, Fly, man. It's been far too long since you
I
and I have
I
had
know.
any time to sit and talk, have a beer, whatever. It's been a couple of years, actually.
I know. Last time I remember I had some elk tacos with you. Anytime I'm having
Yeah.
elk, it's a fucking good thing.
Yes, indeed. That's when we were at the lake house, man. That's we've been gone from there for a couple of years now, but
Really?
yeah. Yeah. No,
Okay.
we needed more room, needed more property, needed a bigger house, built a shop, got our merchandise store up and going. I mean, we've been busy.
Man, that's a
So
good thing.
yeah, real good thing. Yeah,
That's
real
a
good
good
thing.
thing.
Had to build a new studio, which took a little time, but we got it.
Well,
So,
before we really get into any kind of nitty gritty, for any of the
yeah.
people that are listening and they don't know about you, how about you tell everybody that's listening a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background?
Duane Inglin just turned 60. So there
Damn,
you got that.
you look
I
fucking
know.
great for 60, man.
Yeah, 60, man, I tell you what. So, retired firefighter, 35 years. Retired last 10 years as a battalion chief in a larger progressive county department here, Pierce County, Washington. I originally got hired by a small county department called Spanaway Fire. I was the 13th guy hired back in '89. That's going back a ways.
Wow.
And yeah, that particular part of the region we would refer to as the Pierce County Knife and Gun Club. I mean,
Damn.
that's just how it was out there, and it stayed very busy. I tell you what, it was a constant state of change my entire career. Lived through consolidations and mergers, bringing smaller departments together over time. Going from a 22 square mile, 15 personnel, one career station, two volunteer stations, 5 to 7 calls a day, ending my career as a battalion chief with two battalions, 275 people, 90 square miles, and 32,000 calls a year. I'd say that's a slight jump. That's a
Damn.
slight jump.
That's a
So,
big
yeah.
jump, man.
It was good though. Best decision I ever made. I rolled out of high school going into automotive. It's going to be an automotive mechanic because I grew up with that in the backyard with my dad being a diesel mechanic, and it's everything I knew, and it was easy because my brain works that way. But then I kind of, I'm working in an import car shop for a short time, and I'm getting bored, man. I'm just like, this is not challenging enough. So went and did some helicopter logging for a while, and my folks were like, "You got to knock that shit off. You're gonna get killed." So I was like, "Well, I'll go do something safe." So I become a fireman, and
Oh boy.
best choice I ever made, man. Best choice I ever made. 35-year career. It was fantastic. So I was one of the first rescue guys that when they formed the Washington State Task Force FEMA team
Okay.
back in the day, deployed to Oklahoma City for the Timothy McVeigh bombing of the Murrah building. Was there for 12 days. Traveled around, went to the Northridge earthquake down in California, and just, yeah, I had a number of deployments and a number of years doing technical rescue and stuff. It was just a good career, man. Really, really good choice.
No, that's listen, I know back home I know a lot of guys that especially with the way I don't know how it works up here in Washington, but in Florida you can work 24 hours on or 48 hours on, then you get like
Mhm.
3 days off. And these
Yeah,
guys, they line it up so they can fish all the sailfish tournaments all winter long.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like having two full-time jobs.
Yeah, early on in my career, I think when I was a probationary firefighter, I didn't say stay single very long. I found a phenomenal woman, and people don't believe me on this, Fly. I tell them, but Sherry and I met. We were engaged in 6 weeks, and we were married in 3 months.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this September will be 36 years. So
Congratulations, man.
thanks, brother. Yeah, so it's been a good run. But she's been with me through the whole deal, and having a strong wife at home while you're gone on that 24, 48, or 72 hour shift, working all that overtime. and or early on working a second job because being a fireman and getting married and popping two kids right away and bringing home about 1,800 a month. That just doesn't go far back in the day. So, always working a second job. A lot of firemen, they got a side hustle going. I always work different jobs and eventually landed on a little radio gig back in the day, unbeknownst to me, and things kind of evolved from there. So there you have it.
So let's start off with that little radio gig because
Yeah.
that's how I met you. I was doing stuff like I've been doing now for the last 5 years with Mission Outdoors and the Washington Tuna Classic, and you were hosting your radio show, and I went to your studio, and
Hmm.
um, we got a chance to hang out on the set and tell some stories. So tell everybody about how that started and how it progressed and what do you got going on with it now?
So that was technically that was when I left radio and started my own program in my garage. I built that studio there at the Summit Lake House and started Fish Hunt Northwest. Fish Hunt Northwest was an idea I had the latter part of the 7 years I was doing Saturday morning radio up in Seattle, AM radio station called KJR, still there. The show was Northwest Wild Country. And we were a Saturday morning 2 hour radio program, mostly talking fishing, very little hunting. But it was also televised. It was simul broadcast. It was like radio, kind of like the Howard Stern deal, right? You got televised radio
Yeah.
back in the day. And me and one of the co-hosts, Bill Herzog, dear friend of mine, who's now actually my co-host on my existing program, which we'll get into. But we were doing radio back then. Because it was televised, we were doing a lot of how-to stuff, but it was really crappy. I mean, the camera angles sucked. You really couldn't present like the how-tos and the things that we wanted to. And my brain was always turning. I was thinking, man, I need to do a show that's a little more dynamic, a little more fluid, covering a lot of ground. So I started thinking Today Show, Good Morning America, but all fishing and hunting, right? I wanted in studio guests. I wanted interviews in the field. I wanted recipes, weather reports, river reports. I wanted to go out and film content, bring it in, release it as part of the show. And I wanted to do all this in front of a studio audience. I wanted to have those cooking recipes going on. So when we get done doing the show, I get to invite a couple guests up on stage and we could let them eat whatever it was the chef was cooking, right? So um, I left radio in 2017 and we searched around for some type of building or a business or something to take on that we could allocate part of the building to build a studio and start doing this show that I was thinking about. In my head, I still wanted to invite people in to come watch the show live, and that was just kind of the driver. But after about 18 months or so, my wife just finally said, just build the studio in the garage. We got to get this thing going. So took the tape measure, literally went out there on my garage floor, measured it out. I'm like, yeah. And I put down some painter's tape on the floor, like, okay, I'm going to build it here. And to the day I tore that apart, that painter's tape was still underneath that platform floor that I built. So,
Really?
yeah, yeah, I just left it there. I built right over the top of it. And you were there. That's the first studio that I
It was a
built.
killer studio, man.
Yeah, it was pretty good. We always dealt with some sound issues, just kind of that echoing, but I had all that sound deadening in there, and I learned a lot. Like the first handful of years doing it, learned a lot. Like our camera angles were too far back, not up and close and personal, and I didn't really have a good flow. And I came from radio doing a 2 hour show. So I was like, well, shit, man, I'll just do a 2 hour show. How hard can it be, right? But we're doing video content, and it goes on. And when you start streaming content, persons don't want to just sit there in front of their computer or whatever, or their smart TV for a couple hours and watch. They'd be in and out. And I also approached it with a different mindset. I had 99 people tell me it wouldn't work, and one guy that might have said that might work. But what I was doing was running 12 or 15-minute segments no matter if it was an interview. Back then, it was actually a phone interview. COVID hadn't hit yet, so nobody was doing
Oh,
this, right? Nobody was Zooming. Nobody was doing live interweb chatting or anything. It was all just phone interviews, and we'd roll slides and pictures onto the screen so the viewer wouldn't get so damn bored. But um, we'd have those interviews. We'd have the how-tos in that other section of the studio. I don't know if you remember, we called it the bait lab, and we had all the overhead camera and all the how-to stuff, all the rigging, filleting fish, cleaning ducks, whatever, showing everybody anything and everything. Um, and I would take commercial breaks, but I didn't have any sponsors. So I'd take a commercial break of some field footage I shot. There'd be this young buck walking through, or there'd be some fish swimming in a river in gin clear water that I filmed underwater, or just whatever I could grab that was outdoorsy.
yeah.
And then I'd roll the script and say, hey, if you want to jump on as a sponsor, you want to advertise with Fish Hunt Northwest, contact Duane Inglin. And lo and behold, the phone started ringing, man. So started landing a few sponsors, and I reconnected with a friend of mine from years ago when I did this other project that got me into the radio side of things, this competition I was in. He was the main producer on that. And so he kind of became my coach and mentor, like how to really start dialing in this show, this format. He liked the idea. He liked the concept because we're not just YouTubers, we're not just showing people us out there fishing, having a good time and high-fiving. I'm bringing state representatives, directors at WDFW. I'm bringing folks like you in studio. We're having conversation about name a topic, right? Name a subject matter. And up here in Washington, we're never short on topics and subject matter with the debacle that this place is. So, um, yeah,
It's
kind
everywhere,
of.
dude.
Dude, the script writes itself up here. These asshats that run some of this stuff is just it's unbelievable. But I wanted to have that educational side of things. And persons were like, I don't know if people are going to stick around and watch that. And I would say, well, I can tell you when I was doing radio and when I started transitioning into the host seat because the guy that created the show was off doing other things half the season. I started drawing in that type of content, that type of dialogue. Like I would get the director of WDFW in studio Saturday morning, 6 a.m. for a 2 hour conversation on how screwed up the department is. Um, or we talk about the commission, or we talk about, you know, the North of Falcon process, which is a long, drawn out, boring process on how they set salmon season up here in Washington State. So, um, next thing I know, the phone's ringing. I got state representatives, senators calling me. Hey, to, um, I'm introducing a bill to, do this to the advantage of fishing and hunting or whatever it was. And those are the types of interviews I'd like to do because it helps educate people to that slogan I kind of coined. It's the stuff that matters that you don't want to talk about it, but it's what's either going to keep you off the water or out of the woods.
Yeah.
And so you need to pay attention to this stuff, right? But I also realize it's a balance. Like I can't bore people with that stuff. So we go out in the field, we fish a ton, we fish all over, we fish every type of fishery up here except for, ditch pickles, bass. Don't want to offend
A
anybody down there in
ditch
Florida, but
pickle.
so that's the ditch pickle.
I love it.
Um, we do chase walleye, not that it's a phenomenal fighting fish, but they taste amazing, right? So, but up here, Pacific Northwest, man, we have so much opportunity, and we have the opportunity now to bring it to the people across the nation with where the show's gone. They're watching us catch salmon in the ocean in the summer, into Puget Sound as we get summer into fall. And by fall time, we're in the drift boat or bank fishing on the rivers. I mean, you just follow the migration of those fish. We have access to all those bodies of water, lakes, reservoir streams, salmon, steelhead, cutthroat, kokanee trout, walleye. I mean, you name it, we're probably chasing it, sprinkling some hunting when the season permits you to do so. And that's, it's kind of what Fish Hunt Northwest is all about, along with all that educational side of stuff happening. And we try to find a nice blend, mix it up. In studio, you're going to tune in, and one week we're out there on the water doing this or that. The next week I got a senator in studio. We're talking about whatever's relevant, whatever's pertinent,
That,
or whatever's pissing people off.
oh boy. Oh boy. I
Yeah.
know you talk about pissing people off, and I base myself out of East Coast. But I
Yeah.
I have people from all over the world on the podcast. Today I was on the phone with somebody from NOAA with the shark depredation problem in the North Atlantic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have it's become quite a big problem over there. So I totally understand. And my biggest thing that I try to do is, hey, come on here and talk about what you guys are doing because government is so slow. Most people don't realize that people are doing stuff. It just takes a long time.
Yeah. We uh we battle a lot of issues up here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State specifically, that they just drag their feet on, man. I mean, I try to have these conversations with folks in the know to help educate the masses so people can not, and there's balance in that too. It's like bringing the messaging is one thing, but call to action is where it's at. Like you got to get people to get involved and step up and do something, right? You can't just talk about it year in and year out because that's what the politicians and those that drive the agencies do. They just talk about it and they reach out for more money to get their grants for their research and then their project continues. I mean, I get bored with repeating, but you got so many viewers that aren't familiar with what's going on up here. I mean, Washington State, only Washington State can you authorize ongoing monies to go through via grant for certain persons working in the field to spend 11 years studying 13 bird colonies from the confluence of the Snake River on the upper Columbia all the way out to the estuary waters of the lower Columbia. And you recognize there's 13 bird colonies. You recognize and have documented the fact that they decimate 75% of the outmigrant steelhead smolt by the time they hit the Pacific Ocean, and yet you've done nothing about it. You've done nothing about it. You've taken action on some of these bird colonies in the lower Columbia River, but all you did was move them from an island to the substructure of the Astoria Megler Bridge. And it's like, well, that was a brilliant plan because now Department of Transportation, Oregon and Washington spend millions of dollars each year cleaning the substructure of the bridge because we all know how acidic bird shit is, right? So now they got all these birds nesting, these cormorants, and
Underneath the
nesting
bridge.
on, yeah, all over the bridge, and they're shitting everywhere, and it smells horrible when you're down there fishing, dude. I mean, you float under that bridge, you about puke. But they took all these birds that were on an island and they like harassed them and hazed them, and they broke their eggs, and they're like, this will take care of it. Well, the birds are like, okay, we'll just go hang out up here. So now they move this entire colony of birds to the bridge, and now it's become an issue for Department of Transportation. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. And 11 years of studying these birds, and that's the best they could do. It's like, how can we waste more money? Let's do this and see what happens, right? So, and don't get me going on the pinnipeds, the California sea lions and the Stellar sea lions and the Columbia River, the
Oh
gray
boy,
and harbor seals.
that's a whole nother because they fall under the Marine Mammal Protection Act.
1972. That's correct.
And
Well,
that is like pissing up a fucking rope.
yeah, you got to get the feds involved. But here's the deal. You want to see how stupid this is? So Washington State has been given the green light by the feds within the Columbia River Basin and tributaries, a 5-year permit, and they've been granted so many sea lions per year, whether it's California or Stellar sea lion for removal, extermination, to the tune of if they were to exercise this in their 5-year permitting plan that's been authorized by NOAA, they would get to kill 2,500 sea lions. That would be a significant impact. Okay, be a significant impact. But here's the problem: DFW is up against it with the local legislators in Olympia because they don't like people fishing and hunting and smiling in Washington State. So they try to remove that as much as they can. And the way they do that is the last two budget cycles, they've been successful in removing almost 35 million from the Department of Fish and Wildlife's budget. So when you remove 35 million and they say do the best you can to maintain levels, service levels and opportunity, DFW has to make major cutbacks. They're closing a few hatcheries. They're down 13 personnel on enforcement. They're having to close some access points because look, if you don't have people to clean bathrooms and clean up the landscape and keep boat ramps open,
Yeah.
you start locking gates, right? So not only do they not have enough money to maintain status quo, but to exterminate sea lions is like, well, we don't have any money for that. It gets expensive. Um, I had a Senator, Jeff Wilson, on my show month and a half, 2 months ago. He introduced a bill this year in legislative session in Olympia, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. You and I, as boat owners, we go in. I don't know when you do it down there, Florida, but here in Washington, you got to re-up your boat registration in June. So I go in to register my boat. There would be a box that you could check if you are willing on a voluntary basis to offer money towards we'll call it the Sea Lion Control Fund. So, because when you talk to fishermen up here, everybody's so pissed off. It's like, I would give $100 if they'd start killing sea lions. I'd give $50 if they'd start killing sea lions. Well, Senator Wilson thought we'll take advantage of person's anger and we'll say, hey, let's set up a fund. And it's voluntary. So you can go in and if you want to dump money into the coffers, now we're generating some money that DFW could utilize to start removing sea lions. And that's like, this is a great idea. They're going to have the money. They already got the permit in place from the feds, which that's a huge hurdle to get over. And over the 5-year plan, they could kill 2,500. That's a huge dent. This is like best case scenario. That frickin' bill lands in the wrong committee in Olympia. It goes into the Ways and Means Committee. It should have landed in Natural Resources for whatever reason. And the chairwoman, Democrat who leads the Ways and Means, she gets a hold of that bill and goes, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. And she killed it. For no other reason than she probably didn't agree with killing, water puppies. Yeah, because they have cute eyes, right? She didn't give a shit about how many millions of dollars the state has spent on salmon, billions of dollars the state has spent on salmon steelhead recovery. The fact that they're decimating sturgeon, salmon, steelhead, everything else in the Columbia River Basin. The fact that we now have video after video after video of California sea lions 70 miles up into tributaries, right? They're not called a river lion, and they have no business being in any fresh water whatsoever.
But they're
And yet
eating
here
all
they
the
are.
fish.
Dude, they are, you want more stats on another survey? 2016, the Lower Columbia, that year, the spring Chinook return, the sea lions decimated 45% of the spring Chinook returning to the Columbia River. And yet here, year in and year out, we're struggling to move forward in recovering conservation. It's like, well, if you know that data, what are we doing, right? More studies, more research. Well, I go back and forth because DFW has been given the green light from NOAA. They could take action on this stuff, but they have no money. So now we go back to the legislators in Olympia. You took the money. Here's a bill to introduce that comes back to fishermen and women that want to participate in recreational fishing, and they're willing to offer up money. And you get a senator that kills the bill for no other reason than bias or she doesn't believe in whatever. It blows my freaking mind. They don't represent the people of Washington State. They represent their self-interest. That's,
Totally understand it. I have an idea to make some more money for the state. I'll drop it off
yeah.
at you and you can run with it. You can tell everybody it's your idea. In the state of
Okay.
Florida, when they first opened up alligator hunting
Yeah.
for residents, I think I don't know, it was like $60 for a tag, but it was 1,200 for an out-of-state person.
Yeah.
$1,200 per seal. You can start raising some real big money.
You could. I guarantee this state would never allow anybody to go hunting,
Listen,
sea lions.
2,500 Floridians up in Washington. Let me
Yeah,
tell you, you'd
I
have,
know.
listen, one thing I've learned since COVID, Florida is called the Wild West for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody says, man, bullets are cheap. Just give me a permit for a couple $100. I'll go shoot a sea lion. I mean, everybody's willing to do it. The state would never authorize it.
No,
We know
and
that.
listen, I'm not into wasteful of any animal, but
Sure.
I totally get it. I had some guy on the podcast. He's from Massachusetts. He was anchored up on the beach fishing for striped bass, and somebody took a picture of a sea lion or a sea lion or seal going by him, and they gave him he was anchored, and this thing swam by him, and they gave him a ticket for harassing a marine mammal.
Seriously.
Yeah,
That's not like the guy in Hawaii throwing rocks at him and said he was trying to save the sea turtles.
that was different. Listen, down in California, if they're on your boat, you can't even shoo them off.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. We get boats getting sunk in the marinas down the Lower Columbia every August. We're down there for the world infamous Buoy 10 fishery, the great opportunity, chase Chinook and coho down there in the mouth of the Columbia River. And there's so many of them. I mean, they just pollute the docks and they climb into some boats once in a while. And we've had boats sunk down there due to sea lions. And I don't know if people, I don't know if they checked the box on their insurance policy, the sea lion clause, but it happens. It happens all the time. And you're right. You can't harass them.
You,
You're the bad guy if you try to get them out of your boat, I guess.
yeah, no, because of the Protection Act, you
Ah.
literally have to walk away.
For the life of me, I don't understand the mindset at NOAA. Like when they put that Marine Mammal Protection Act into place, I get it. The population was, shit, I don't know. Remember California Sea Lion Caves, Highway 101, they had the Sea Lion Caves attraction. I was a kid, mom and dad hitting the road and go on vacation to California, you got to go by the sea lion caves. They're cute, right? And you go to the coast and you see all the sea lions down there at the sea lion cave, and it's like, oh, it's an attraction. They sell a bunch of crap in a gift shop and whatever. And now it was a thing for like 70s and 80s. It was a thing, and then they're protected and the population begins to grow. I think I read years ago at one point there was like 10 or 12,000 sea lions, maybe back in the early 70s. Shit, we had 8 or 9,000 sea lions in the Columbia River in 2015.
Wow.
Like that was almost the population. I may be wrong on that, but I was trying to correlate like what it originally was when it fell under protection and what the numbers were now that we were dealing with in Washington State. And it's gotten much higher than that. I'm not even sure if they know what the population is, but the overall population exceeds 300,000, right? From California to Washington, right?
Wow.
300 plus thousand. I'm like, where's the ceiling? You know? Um, I think it was 2018 or 19. Um, no, it was 2016, on the heels of the blob, as they called it, out here off the coast of Washington. We had We had horrible upwelling currents. We had extremely warm water. We didn't get the cold air pushed down from the north, so we didn't get the turned up ocean. So they had a huge biomass area out there that was just a desert, right? Just a dead desert of no productivity. And we had no forage fish. We had a lot of starving fish that would be in that part of the region. A lot of stuff was dying. And along California coast, the the mothers who had pupped, they couldn't find forage fish. They were malnourished and they weren't producing enough milk, so their pups were starving, right? So even down in California, with however many sea lions are down there, everybody's got to save a sea lion fly. So there were stories of persons going to the beaches and assisting, volunteering, and they were capturing these pups and they were getting them into veterinarian clinics. They were nursing them back to health. And then the full story and the success story was releasing all these sea lion pups, that survived. And I'm thinking, if dumb shit man wouldn't intervene all the time, Mother Nature would do what she's supposed to do.
Exactly.
You know, if we have a dead desert of nothing, out there in the ocean, and these mothers can't find forage fish to stay nourished enough to produce milk, and their calves starve for a year. Yeah, it's sad that sea lion puppies are dying, but it's the course of nature. It's nothing, as humans, sometimes you just gotta sit back, and it may not be fun to watch, so don't look. But taking corrective action could be more detrimental than you think in the long run.
Yeah. Or manage them properly when they need to be
Mhm.
managed. So
There,
when you have situations like this,
yeah,
uh, or situations like what you're talking about, they're not so severe.
yeah. I mean, an intervention years prior, to control the number. That's why I asked a little bit ago, what's the ceiling? I mean, what's the threshold? What everything in nature, there's a carrying capacity, right? So where are these mad scientists that decided they were going to save every sea lion on the West Coast, and yet nobody's willing to stamp the paper with this is the number. We exceed this, we got to have a plan to make sure we stay within this buffer. But nobody has that discussion. They're not willing to intervene.
Nobody wants to have the
So,
discussion.
no,
It's
no,
always the discussion on how to protect, but
yep.
not what do you do once you reach the sea. And again, the sea lion thing for me is we're just starting to talk about it in the Northeast. Uh,
Oh yeah,
but because that used to be, I think it was like 6,000 seals, and now it's like 58,000. And they're eating all the fluke, all the
yep.
menhaden, all the striped bass. But at what point do you call it
Hmm.
rebuilt and then you have to do something about it?
Yep. Anytime something gets a federal protection or an ESA listing or anything, any of those titles or acronyms attached to them, you don't get folks that come up through the branches and progress in their career that want to take that step to say, hey, it's time to take action here. Because they weren't brought into the program that way. They were brought
Right.
in to continue to protect and serve, apparently. So you just don't get people with enough cojones to say, hey, it's time to interact, right? So I don't know. I have yet to find literature in any type of recovery program where it has a cap, where it has, like, don't get me going on the wolves. Like they got
Oh,
this.
I
Oh,
wanted to talk to you about that. I definitely wanted to talk because the wolves is so similar to the issues I'm having with sharks.
okay, yeah. Well, there's a theme here, right? We have avian predation, we have pinniped predation, we have wolf, bear, mountain lion. The makeup of our current Fish and Wildlife Commission, with five of the nine commissioners on the commission pretty much being anti-fishing, anti-hunting, believe it or not, they have a real issue with any intervention of predator control. And when you lack any common sense and lack of willingness to intervene on predator control, everything else suffers. You know, salmon steelhead recovery becomes secondary to what you feel is a successful predator build program. Um, Ungulate herds begin to diminish, and you feel successful because you're anti-hunting, that DFW can no longer issue hunting permits or tags in certain game management units because the carrying capacity is decimated down so far. There's no overages. There's not enough there to go hunt now because, the herds are at minimum numbers. So eh, I'm not a conspiracy kind of guy, but there's a lot of things behind this. It's like they walk lock and step with a number of the, certain side of the aisle in Olympia that doesn't want us to have guns. And if you can remove all the reasons for hunting, then you can say, well, you don't need guns. You can't hunt in Washington State. So I just feel like there's a lot of these small groups working together and
I,
trying to eliminate the need for hunting.
I can
So
I can believe that. There's a group of people out there. Again, I don't want to go way out on the
I know we're not gonna,
conspiracy
yeah,
side, but there is a group of people that uh for lack of a better term, they probably wish us humans weren't here.
sure.
And let the
Yeah.
animals do what they want to do as they do it.
Mhm.
Don't harvest them. My fight with the sharks that I have constantly, and uh, again, very similar to the Marine Mammal Protection Act, what they did on it's not just the East Coast, it's for the whole country. They passed the Shark Fin Ban Act. So you
Oh,
cannot sell the most valuable part of a shark.
sure.
So, what they've done now is, and there was a law already on the books, you have to bring the shark with the fins to the dock. But
Hmm.
because now you can't sell them, once you're at the dock, you got to chop them off and throw them in the garbage. You can't throw them in the water because now that falls under another act of polluting or something or another of that thing. So you have to throw them in a dumpster. And if you or I were to kill a deer or to kill an elk and we leave a valuable part of meat on there, we get in trouble.
Sure.
And now our government has passed this. And when I have arguments by these environmentalists, they're like, well, they shouldn't be eating shark fin soup. And my argument is, who the fuck do you think you are when you get a piece
Hmm.
of steak on a styrofoam tray to say what somebody should eat in another country? You've never
Or
had to
not eat.
fucking
Yeah.
forage. You've never had to forage to go out there and get your own food. Who do you
Yeah.
think you are telling what
Hmm.
people should and shouldn't eat?
Sure.
So I totally understand that, and I agree with you. I actually, over the weekend, I reached out to the head of the Hunters Association in Oregon to see if he wanted to come on here because for those of you that aren't aware, you're probably aware, they're trying to ban hunting in Oregon altogether.
Hunting, fishing.
Correct.
This 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 nut job nation that they got down there, I'll tell you what, they got 120,000 signatures to get this initiative on the ballot. Okay. I'm not going to say they screwed up because we don't want them to realize that. But see, they wrote this thing. This is how asinine it is. It's cruel. I believe it's labeled something to do with cruelty to animals, right? So not only does it remove fishing, hunting, it removes horseback riding, raising livestock, raising pigs, raising chicken, all of those for slaughter. Like you can't have a small gentleman's ranch and raise your own food. That would be against the law if this initiative was to pass. You can no longer ride horses because that's cruelty to animal. You can't have chickens that lay eggs. I mean, you can't, no trapping. If it was fishing, hunting, trapping, I'd be, well, I'm concerned anyway.
Yeah,
But
no.
look, the fact is, I don't know what your numbers are down there in Florida, but to put it in perspective, when initiatives hit the ballot and it's in the realm of fishing and hunting, it can get really dicey because here in Washington, we have 2.5 to 3% of the population that hunt and about 11% of the population that fish. So, case in point, I think it was 1992. They did this tremendous campaign up here in Washington that you can no longer hunt bears and cougars with the usage of hounds. Who drove that campaign? The Humane Society. right? Everybody thinks Humane Society is, puppies and kittens and they do such great things. But if you really know behind the scenes what they got going on, they're part of what's working behind the scenes to dismantle fishing and hunting as we know it here in Washington State, working through some of the commissioners that they have the ear on in our current makeup of our Fish and Wildlife Commission. So it gets really convoluted and really muddy here. But my point is, you canvass the airwaves, radio, TV with these ads driven by Humane Society, and it's all wordsmithing, and you present that to soccer moms in Seattle, like, do you think persons should be allowed to hunt and kill inhumanely bears and cougars with the usage of hound dogs, ferocious hound dogs? And of course, all the soccer moms and ladies that sit at Tupperware parties and things are going to go, no, that's absolutely disgusting. We can't. That shouldn't be allowed. And I say that because when you have 3% of the population that hunts, and that is on the ballot during, a large outpouring of persons coming to the voter booth in a November initiative or something, you're going to lose every time because 97% of those showing up versus 3%. If
That
if
that
you
go
don't,
do
if
it.
you don't, you, and so Washington State, when that went through, they got their ass kicked, and you haven't been able to use hounds to hunt, you know, mountain lions and bears here in Washington State since then. To the point of when we have issues with mountain lions now, they have to hire what? A certified
Killer.
master hunter houndsmen to go track down cats and kill them. So, at the tab of the state. So if you look down the road and you look at Oregon, and if it was just hunting and fishing, I'd be really and trapping, I'd be concerned because they could wordsmith the crap out of that. They could propaganda it. They could, get the sales pitch going. They get the commercials on TV. And when all these non-hunters and fishers show up on voting day, there would be cause for concern. But it includes, again, the horseback riding, the, raising your own livestock, raising your own pigs, raising chick, whatever. They got a whole bunch of crap in there. Now, 120,000 signatures in a state of, I believe they're at about 5 million population. That's not very many. And I think it's pretty jaded in how they approached it. We know for certain it's probably not going to pass. It won't even come close. Boy, if it does, could you imagine? Can you imagine if that sets the bar? And
That'll
that's the
set the bar
direction.
everywhere.
Oh my God. Well, more fearful here on the West Coast between
Well,
Washington, Oregon,
well, that
California.
the whole thing is it starts moving up and it'll start moving
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
And little by
yeah,
little, I mean, that's why I reached out to the guy, because I figured if we can get it on here where people from all over the country could start talking about it, then
yeah,
it'll start getting, whoa, whoa, whoa. As it is, there's so many crazy things out there now that people are over and done with. But
yeah.
sometimes it seems like you guys are so protected up in the Northwest that shit just happens. And you talk about
And nobody hears about it. Yeah,
you talk about the hounds, and what people don't understand, the the most positive things about hunting cats and bears with the hounds is once you get them in the tree, you can see, is it a male or a female?
yeah,
You can tell so much, so you can make the right educated decision of saying, you know what? No, this is not an animal that we should harvest. And
yeah,
you've taken that part out where, oh, through binoculars, there's a cat, but I can't tell if it's a tom.
male, female. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't tell anything. Where there's a tried and true method for outdoorsmen that we always take care of the resource. And
hmm.
it's never an outdoorsman that proposes one of these things. It's
Oh
somebody
no.
that is all holed up in their house, who doesn't go
Yeah,
fishing, doesn't go hunting. I mean,
living in mom's basement. Yeah.
listen,
Hmm.
how many death threats I've gotten from people that don't even live in the United States, and they're
Yeah,
calling me to threaten me because of, oh, you're putting on a shark tournament. It's like, You don't even fucking live here. You don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. You don't even know the
You don't
nothing
even
about it.
know. Yeah,
Hmm.
I just reached out to a writer for the Independent in a UK newspaper. They put out something that NOAA is open to comments about this new shark recreational raising the limits. And I'm like, why are you telling the people in the UK to put in comments into NOAA? That's kind of fucking asinine. Why isn't that in
Yeah, yeah,
a US newspaper?
yeah, yeah.
Because
Well,
they'll get on there, they'll put the comments, and suddenly it contradicts all the recreational guys and commercial guys that are talking about it.
yeah. Well, here's a catchy little title. Let me move that. Washington Wildlife First. Isn't that a cute title?
Yeah, listen, that sounds like a bait and switch, man.
Yeah. Well, Washington Wildlife First. You're like, oh, well, that sounds cool. Well, that is one of the leading agencies that has the ear of a handful of our bonehead commissioners that are anti-hunting, anti-fishing, and they rally additional out of state other formed groups with deep pockets, and they bring this money in and they attack everything that we love to be, true about hunting and fishing here in the state of Washington. Washington Wildlife First is the most anti-hunting, anti-fishing organized group that continues month after month going after a lot of different things here. They helped dismantle the opportunity. We no longer have a spring black bear hunt here in Washington State because the commission opted to get rid of that a few years ago, and it was only secondary to all the influx of folks that the, it's a mind blow that persons out of state can leverage so much action through our commission and how they're doing it. Though we have a lot of organized groups now that are, going after them. Conservation Coalition here in Washington State's done a tremendous job battling all the asshats on some of these other organized groups. Um, People would be amazed how much money Jody Allen, the sister of Paul Allen, the owner of the Seahawks, how much money Jody Allen dumps into the coffers of organizations like Washington Wildlife First. How tight she is with some of the folks that lead these agencies and have nothing better to do than go after folks and try to get us to no longer fish and hunt here in the state of Washington. So there's a lot of layers here, brother. A
No,
lot of,
listen, and here's another thing. I've run into a couple of NGOs that have come after me, and I come to find out a couple of them were being funded by you and I. They were being funded by
yeah,
USAID. They were
yeah,
making, our government was paying them to get rid of the things that we love to do.
yeah, go figure. Yeah. So it's an ongoing battle up here, and there's a lot of things happening all the time, and I try to stay on top of a lot of this stuff, and I sprinkle those doses in on the show. It's bullet points, try to generate that educational value to that, but a good mixture of other stuff too. We spend a lot of time on the water, fishing all over, and filming, and I got production of two shows coming up this Thursday, and I was sitting in the office today editing video all day. We just had our sixth annual kids derby, our
Talk to
sixth
me
annual.
about that because I saw that
Yeah,
text message come across my phone. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Uh,
yeah, sixth annual, man. We started in 2020, and when we lived out there at the lake, Sherry and I decided we wanted to start doing a kids derby, and it's grown. And Ryan Elwell, Mission Outdoors, he's helped us. They couldn't help us this year because he's on his damn honeymoon. So
Congratulations, Ryan, man.
yeah, but he's been a staple there with us for every single year. He rolls in the big smoker, cooks up all the pork, and provides the food. And our derby's a little different. And I don't know, I didn't like Google, hey, Siri, how do people put on a trout derby, right? I'm just like, if I'm doing a trout derby, if I got little kids, what do I want to do, right? And We did it the first year, and of course, every time you do something, you learn a lot. Like this is a you got a lot of options, I think, on how you put together kids' trout derbies. You know, some of them are just a big tank, and kids show up and fish out of the trout pond, and other ones they'll put a screen like at a certain area of the lake at the boat ramp, and they'll come in and dump a bunch of fish, and then you're just fishing right there at the access or whatever, or off docks, right? They'll put pins in or whatever. So look, we lived out there at Summit Lake where you came and joined us. And Summit Lake is about, what is it, 250 acres. It's, three-quarters of a mile wide, 4 miles long, 100 feet deep. I mean, it's a good sized body of water. And so when you put on a trout derby, and there's really no bank access because it's surrounded by homes, and there's a little bit of bank access at the public launch, but that's it. So this is pretty much a DIY. Show up in your boat, go out and catch fish, come down the street to the community center, get in line for weigh-in, and be in line by 11 a.m. so you can get your kids qualified, right? So we started kind of rolling this out, knowing folks would show up in their boats and take their kids fishing and stuff. But then all of a sudden, here's the realization. I got single moms showing up with a couple little kids under 5 and 6 years old. Excuse me, sir, where can we fish? What can we do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, So then I started, rolled into year 2, and Ryan and I, we got a small kiddie pool and an aerator system, and we put together a small trout pond. And I got WDFW to bring us some fish for the trout pond. And if you're and the derby is for kids 14 and under. But for kids 5 and under, you can show up and fish the trout pond. You're going to win the same exact prizes as the big kids, right? Well, that's evolved now to where we got the tank from WDFW, but then due to lack of funding, they've shut down all their kids programs, which don't get me going on that, but they've had to shut down all their kids programs. So now, as it turns out, this really cool big fiberglass fish tank with windows in it and stuff, um, is owned by or held by the Mineral Lake Lions Club, which is about an hour and a half away from here. But I have retained access to that tank, so I go pick that big ass tank up and drag it in on a trailer, drop it off. The fire department comes and puts water in it. The next day, WDFW shows up, and this year Mike gave me 350 fish, big trout to put in the on-site trout pond, and they also put in 6,000 fish the day before the Derby out in the lake. So like DFW is going to bat. Like I said, they got rid of all their kids programs, but when it comes to our derby, they're giving me a check to help fund it. They're giving me fish in the tank, 350 trout, and they're giving me 5 or 6,000 fish out in the lake the day before the derby. So they're really they're trying to help us out. And it's grown. I got the Washington State Guides Association, my good buddy, longtime friend Bobby Kratzer, vice president of the Washington State Guide Association. They get a handful of their guides to come out to the lake, bring their boats, and they're on the shoreline. They got a little sign set up, says guide boats. It was all on the web page, the Fish Hunt Northwest web page this year. Folks could go to the web page, hit the events tab, register, and then also submit their names and their kids' names to get on a guide boat for free.
Okay.
Show up, get on the guide boat. Guide's going to take you out. Kids are going to catch their trout. They're going to bring you back in. You come over to the community center, get in line, weigh in your fish. When you're done weighing in your fish to hopefully qualify to win some prizes, you go over to the table and see my wife, Sherry. You get your free raffle ticket, and you get your free Fish Hunt Northwest t-shirt printed by who? My son, Blake.
My man.
Yeah, that's right. And he designs a new logo every year. And every kid gets a free raffle ticket, free t-shirt. And with that raffle ticket, my idea is if they don't win something based on the fish that they turn in for weigh-in, they're going home with something. Every kid for every single year has gone home with something. Even if it's a bucket of fishing gear, they go home with a little bucket of gear. They get free lunch. They get free trip out there. Last year, we took 45 kids that had never been on the water, never caught a trout, never caught a fish, took them out on the water. They caught their first fish, had an experience on a boat. This year, The Derby was a couple weeks ago. This year, I think numbers were down a little because we had a ton of rain the couple weeks before the Derby. And that morning, up in surrounding areas, it was piss and rain. But here, down here in Olympia and Summit Lake, it was like blue sky and sunshine. So we're like, oh, sweet. Well, I talked to people afterwards. They're like, yeah, we're up here in Tacoma, and it was just dumping. So I said, kids, we ain't going. So we we've been normally getting about 200 kids. I think we had 170 this year, so it wasn't down a ton, but you know, weather was down a bit. But we're averaging about 200 kids, about 450 people. Again, everybody gets free food. Little kids fish the trout pond, bigger kids fish the lake. Families go out in guide boats, get their first experience of watching their kids catch fish. We're selling a bunch of Fish on Northwest merchandise there. And here's a good thing. Adults are pretty easy, man. You take a 5 gallon bucket, you put a bottle of booze in and a bunch of fishing tackle. Okay. And then you do adult raffle. And raffle tickets are $5. And most adults are pulling out 20s, throwing them
Yeah.
down because that money goes into next year's derby, right?
Oh, sweet.
So they are paying to win those buckets, and it's a shit ton of gear. I mean, those buckets valued at least a couple $100. And we had Hatchery and Wild Coexist. They were there in force, set up a whole table and display. They've partnered with us on some of this stuff. And Don New at Hatchery Wild, he brought $250 gift cards from Bob's Sporting Goods. So you could buy a $5 raffle ticket and win a $250 gift card to Bob's Sporting Goods for fishing tackle. So the adults were like, hell yeah, dude, we sold $2,700 worth of raffle tickets. That's
Wow.
money going into the next year's. You know what that pays for? That pays for all them free t-shirts. That pays for like the food that we give everybody for free, right? So it just kind of recirculates money back into the program, and then we're able to provide everything for free. Nobody pays for a thing when they show up for our annual trout derby. It's pretty amazing.
I think that's cool as shit that the kids don't have to pay anything.
Nothing.
I love
No.
it. How
Yep.
many of the 200, and let's just throw that, I'm just going to keep that number simple at
Okay.
200. From year to year to year,
Yeah.
percentage wise, how many are repeat kids from the year before?
Probably until they age out, probably I think a third to a half.
Okay.
Like this year, and this year I asked as I started the awards, like, is anybody here actually been with us all 6 years? And there was a few folks that raised their hand.
Okay.
They've been coming all 6 years, and then 5 years, and it was a pretty higher number. Then how about the last 4 years? Or have you been here 4 out of the 6? And a good amount of people. But the community out there and surrounding community, man, they really look. We have the annual sportsman show here up there in Puyallup at the fairgrounds, Washington State Fairgrounds in January. And we'll set up our 40-foot booth selling a bunch of our merchandise and stuff. I cannot tell you how many people come up with their kids to say hi, buy swag, and ask us, you guys doing the Derby this year? You guys doing the Derby? And that's January, right? And we do it third Saturday of May every year. We host our Derby. So when we hope for good weather. You do it in April, you're gonna get rained on. But you do it in May, there's a
There's a
chance, right? We might
chance.
get some sunshine. So there's a chance. So but yeah, folks they're jacked up about it, man. It's become like a thing people start talking about in January. Can't wait to come get all that free stuff. So
Oh,
it's a lot of fun.
it's probably more than just the free stuff. I'm sure them little kids want to go out and catch some fucking fish, man.
They do, dude. It's I had my granddaughters on, and so I told you earlier today I spent here editing this Thursday here in a couple days, rolling out the show. I got a couple segments I'll roll into the show, and it's about the kids derby and my son Jordan, who's my in-studio producer, and then my cameraman out in the field, him and his brother Blake, who's the dad of my granddaughters. They were all out on the boat together, and Harper's 9, little Ranny, she's 2, so she caught her first fish with the help of dad. But it's all on video and putting that all on there, plus everything else. Jordan's flying the drone. We got great shots of the lake. We got great shots of the guide boats. I went lakeside to do a little intro the whole day, and then we move it to the community center. And you got the fire department there with fire engine on display and doing a little show and tell for the kids. You got the police department there with their watercraft. You have in years past we've had a lady there doing face painting, and there's a bunch of games that the kids play while they're waiting for weigh-in to get done. You got the food, you got people selling stuff, you got Hatchery and Wild, they're doing educational stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And then we get to weigh in, and then we get to the awards, and the seats are filled. There's 400 people standing around, and you give the awards for all the fish categories, and then you start raffling off all the stuff for the kids, and then you pull up a couple adult raffle tickets and give those away. And it goes by pretty quick, but it's a fun morning to afternoon, and it's a really good time.
No, and listen, and it's so important to make sure we pass it to that next generation. It's
Absolutely.
I don't walk
Hmm.
into a room without looking around to see who my replacement is.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
and if you're not doing that, then you're doing the sport a disservice. You
Yep.
know, you have to. Who's going to replace when I go?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's all
uh,
about recruitment, man. It's all about
ex-
recruitment. Yep.
exactly. And doing it fun like that is important. I've seen too many
100%.
people that have not made it fun.
Yeah.
Uh, I've sat there and I've listened to it, and when they ask me my opinion, I'm pretty blunt. Uh, if I had to listen to you, I'd give up fucking fishing too, man. You guys are brutal. Why don't you find somebody
Yeah.
that's excited about it, that's passionate
Hmm.
about it, that loves to go out fishing and hunting, be outside? And people have to remember it's not just catching the fish or killing an animal. It's about spending time with your family, with your
Yep.
friends,
Yep.
going out there, spending some time, sharing some time. You bond. I I'm going to ask you your opinion on this. This is just again my opinion. Um, Men do this a lot, but it's happened with me with women as well. When you try to achieve something together, whether you're a football team, a baseball team, the military, a firefighter, and you achieve what you're trying to achieve, putting out the fire, a battle, catching a fish,
Hmm.
you suddenly
Hmm.
become bonded with those people forever. You help
Oh, for
somebody
sure.
catch their first fish. You help
Yeah.
somebody shoot their first deer or elk,
Yeah.
bear. They're never going to forget you,
No, ever.
ever.
Ever. Like I had a lot of teachers in school teach me stuff that I've forgotten, but I've also forgot their names. People that remember their teachers' names, I'm like, well, you had a stronger relationship with those teachers. I didn't really like school, so I never wasted my time getting to know my teachers that well. But I can name some of the coaches that were instrumental in shaping me into, a young man and other instructors in different facets of life and things, and of course other instructors in the fire service and things like that. People that made a difference, right? Um, and my mentor in fishing and stuff was my dad. He didn't hunt, but he taught me how to fish, and he taught me a lot about fishing. And you take what you learn, and then you hopefully you're driven and you're self-motivated, and you just start doing stuff on your own and just figuring stuff out. And then as you grow and you kind of get in these little groups, you find commonalities amongst people and peers, and you build those relationships that you're talking about, right? And like I said, now I'm 60, and it's a lifelong of taking a bunch of stuff in and trying to help people as much as we can now, and through education and understanding, and recruitment's huge, man. And
It's
you
so
take a little tiny kid and get them to hold that first fish. I was watching my 2-year-old granddaughter. I mean, fishing games and things like that, and she was all excited. And Christmas, you get this plastic stuff to play with, and whether she understands it or not, or whether she sees Papa on TV or whatever, she, it. You can see the gears turn in her head. But you get her out there on that boat to see that first slimy little stinky trout. She can touch it. She's like, it's cold, it's slimy, it has a weird smell. It's funny looking. You poke the eyeball. Yeah, you know, how much of that she remembers, I don't know. But the next time she sees a fish, she knows what that is, right?
Yeah.
And I tell you this, she didn't exactly hold the pole and do a lot of reeling. I mean, her daddy was like helping her and she,
Yeah.
getting her through the experience. But after that first one, what's the first word out of her mouth, Fly? More, more. Okay.
Perfect. Let's do
Mission
it some more.
accomplished, right? Yeah. Yeah. And her older sister, Harper, I mean, she's grown up on every type of fish you can imagine: deer, elk, turkey, goose, duck, pheasant, whatever. She eats it all. That kid will eat all that stuff, where her friends are just like, oh, gross, right? Harper's just like, she'll come over to the house. You have any smoked fish in the fridge, Papa? You have any leftover salmon? You have, she walks through the door asking for that stuff. Why? Because she's been brought up in that environment. And that's
Exactly.
a good trait. I mean, that's what you want to see in a kid versus them going for the beanbag chair and the remote control. I mean, come on. If you have two choices, which one do you want to see them be successful in?
Damn, I want to see them be successful going fishing and hunting.
Absolutely.
And God,
100%.
God forbid anything ever fucking happens, you could always provide for yourself.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
You
But
know,
yeah. Yeah.
it's, I know
She's
I
going to
don't
be
worry about it.
She's going to be 10 next year. I have two 410 shotguns, and she's going to start learning how to shoot that 410, and she's excited to go on a turkey hunt. I think turkey hunting is such a great recruitment opportunity for youth. Yeah, to try and introduce them into hunting. That is like the number one go-to to get it
It's
done. That's
it, it's first of all, it's interactive.
uh-huh.
First, and then you can move a little bit. It's not like deer hunting. And then
Yeah.
they're right there in front of you.
Yeah. Well, put kids in ground blinds because turkeys do see too damn good. Hell, yeah, I even got busted this year. I turned my head and they were gone. So,
Really?
they can see up to what, a little over half mile. I mean, their vision is ridiculous. So, I I got a few rules, kids turkey hunting first time for sure, you know, especially my granddaughter, she ain't gonna sit still, so we're gonna put her in a ground blind. But
Fair
she's gonna
enough.
learn to shoot that 410 with that tungsten load. Um, Tell you what, that's a evil combination. Works out well.
Tell me
So
a little bit about the turkey hunting here in Washington. I've never done it in Washington.
you got three species of turkeys. You got Easterns, which are here on the west side. You got Marians and Rios on the east side, and the general season is April 15th through the end of May. So you got about a 6 week window.
Okay.
This year has been phenomenal. Yeah, we had a really mild winter, high survivability. Turkeys freaking everywhere. And we put a turkey hunt on the show here several weeks ago. Me and a buddy, and then Jordan to film. We went over and tied in with a buddy, Okanagan County, which is about 6 hours from here from the west side. We got there, my buddy Jared's place. He's an outfitter, and when I talked to him at the sportsman show, he said, "Hey man, come over this spring. Let's film a turkey show." I'm like, "Yeah, I haven't put turkey on the show in a couple of years. Let's go do that." So we head over there. We hit the rack. We get up at 3 in the morning. We go up into a place he has access to, some farmland. We set up a couple ground blinds in a alfalfa field on the edge of some timber, and the birds start getting active just before daylight, and they drop out of the roost, and we got them. We can see them with our binos. They're about 750 yards, and worked them birds, call them in. Took them forever. They went on the periphery of the damn field, and then the two lead toms broke off, and finally came in. And by the time they got in there and I put the first bird down, my buddy Jed shot the second one about 10 seconds later. So we had a double, and Jordan got it all on film. It made for a great episode. It was pretty fun to watch. It
That's
just
cool.
aired on the Pursuit channel last week. Yeah. And, but there's an abundance of birds. You can ground blind it. You can spot and stalk. You can, set up in some timber. And I've done it all different ways. I mean, setting up in the open all cameled out and against a tree and some brush and trying to draw them in. use a lot of decoys up until about the last couple weeks where they get a little decoy smart, not as aggressive. Maybe they've already, put a bunch of hens to nest, so they're not really as aggressive, and you probably end up settling for some jakes. But populations here are strong. Matter of fact, in the fall time, if you haven't got your birds in the spring and you still got your tags in the fall, and you're in those counties hunting deer that have turkeys, you still get a couple birds, and they're in big flocks by then. And the farmers hate it because they come into the farms and the into the loafing sheds and into the areas around farms, so they just tear the shit out of everything. I mean, they just scrape up and tear up everything. So oftentimes farmers in the fall are like, come and kill some of these damn birds. There's
Get them
just too
out of
many of them.
here.
Yeah, they're a nuisance. But it was funny. We went over there on a Monday. We shot those birds on a Monday, and then it was early in the morning, and went and grabbed breakfast. And then I looked at Jordan. I'm like, we could be home by late afternoon if we just get it on the road. So we did that. I spent the next day and a half editing video, shot those birds Monday, had them for dinner on Thursday before the show, and I put them on the show that Thursday. I mean, it was a pretty quick turnaround.
That
So
is a quick turnaround.
that's what we try to do here, Fish on Northwest, is like, I'm not I'm not doing 13 or 26 shows a season and hitting replay. We're producing 50 shows a year.
Wow.
And if we're out fishing or hunting Sunday, Monday, I typically have that on the show by Thursday. And then
That's a quick
three
turnaround.
week, yeah, 3 weeks later it goes up on Pursuit Channel. But no, that's part of the excitement for me and in transitioning from a local regional Northwest platform that was Root Sports, which we aired on Saturday morning 9 a.m., which was 5 states: Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Alaska. And we did really well there for 3 years. We were the number one outdoor show, and I had a full 1 hour program, which was pretty unique. But they closed down, so I had to go to a national platform, and we landed on the Pursuit Channel. And now we're a half-hour program every Sunday evening here, Pacific Standard Time, 8:30. But trying to be relevant. Like, I'm not going to film something now and put it on the show next year. I'm going to film something now and it's going to go on the show within the week or two. So it's time stamped relevant. Like, you can watch this even on the Pursuit Channel. It's a few weeks old as far as when we did it, but it's still extremely relevant as far as time of year and what we just did and what we just showed you. So that's kind of the goal. But yeah, there's great turkey opportunity here, and by getting that out there so quickly, folks could see that all over the nation and go, if a guy spends all his time hunting turkeys in Kansas and goes, hey man, I want to go to Washington State and go kill some turkeys. They got a lot of birds up there. I'm hoping that's what people take away from watching our show, not knowing that we have so many birds up here in Washington State.
Yeah, I never realized how I knew there were some. I just never
Yeah.
realized there was that many in numbers.
Yeah, no, there's very high populations, and this year again, it's been really good. The season really kicks off with the youth hunt the week before the general hunt opens, which has become very popular, and that's exciting. Again, we talked about the recruitment component and how important it is. Um, in hunting, in my mind, I really think a lot of folks miss the boat by not introducing kids into hunting simply by getting them out turkey hunting, because you can get them in that environment, a coachable, a teachable environment, ground blind. You can work the calls, you can get the birds, you can let the kids watch how they can observe how the birds react to calling.
Mhm.
It's elk hunting on a micro scale, right? I mean, you're kind of having that interaction, you're calling them in, you're seeing how they react, and when you get those birds in, you can put one down, and then from there, we're learning what it is to take care of your kill, properly take care of your kill, respect it, right? Then how to process that bird and walk them through that process. And I think all of that is really important. And don't leave anything out. Like, teach them from start to finish. And don't just make it act like this is easy, and disrespect the bird and do stupid things that some guys just take for granted. Like, that's not how you introduce kids to be good stewards of the resource moving forward. Like you got to just take your time and really, I think it's time, embrace them and show them that stuff.
It's very important. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm a firm believer if you get them to fall in love with the sport, they're going to want to conserve it. So if you do everything, teach them everything properly, that's half the fun, to be honest with you. It's how do you take care of it? You get to eat it, sit at the table. Hey guys, this is the one I harvested. So um, I think it's a very important thing. Now it's beginning of summer. We're almost in June, and it's almost time for fishing season and salmon season. What is first on your list coming up in the salmon?
Yeah. Actually, June, we had some Chinook opportunity on Columbia River, but we also have a little thing that kicks off in a little north of here, Puget Sound, resident coho,
Okay.
which, it's like an oversized kokanee or, it's a real small coho, but let me tell you, man, they cut flame red because they eat so much krill. And on the grill, they are hard to beat. They are fantastic. And it's just a fun little fishery. Yeah, you only get two. I could I can load the boat up and quite honestly take it to like Wyoming and probably catch bigger kokanee at Flaming Gorge or Fontenelle Reservoir than some of the resident coho you're getting out of Puget Sound.
Uh-huh.
But it's a fun fishery and they taste amazing. But that's one opportunity. But we also have summer on steelhead that just opened this past Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. So summer on steelhead in some of our local rivers is a great one to go after, and that fishes all the way on through September as we start rolling into early fall. But yeah, pretty much Columbia River and areas of Puget Sound. Now look, where I lived before on the lake, we moved a little farther north, and this property that we're on here, I am literally 7 minutes from Zittle's Marina, which is just down the street. I can launch the boat and be fishing South Puget Sound in about 7 minutes,
Oh
which
wow.
is pretty nice. And we're going to try to get out there. We'll try to get, it's open year round. It's open year round because it doesn't fish very well, to be honest. Like WDFW says, matter of fact, here's the truth. Um, it's the only area in Puget Sound you have a two-rod endorsement, and you can retain two adult Chinook, hatchery Chinook, and it's open year round. It's almost like DFW is saying, "I dare you to go try and catch a fish." I
Oh,
mean, they give you so much latitude, right? You don't get that in areas where there's a lot of fish. Like you can go down here and fish two rods, and you can keep two, and it's like if you can find them. But there are times where it can fish pretty well. I mean, we fished it last week. I lost two dandies. We caught a bunch of sublegals, some smaller, non-adult fish that we couldn't keep. But lost two good ones that were definitely keepable size. Just, I mean, barbless hooks. It's going to happen. But no, we're trying to hit this area of Puget Sound and the south end here as much as we can for now because it's an opportunity. It's boat on the water, run the electronics, run the downriggers, try to catch some salmon, take advantage of, it, especially because it's literally right here in the backyard. And then, like I say, June we'll be moving around a little bit, maybe up north for some of them smaller coho, and maybe down south onto the Columbia River, try to get those what they call June hogs or those early incoming summer fish. So got some options.
how far north are you going when you say you go to the north?
For me to go fish Area 10 is about an hour and 20 minutes. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Is that by like j
So
just west of Everett?
it is southwest of Everett. It would be
Okay.
it's kind of Bremerton area. I
Okay.
launch on the backside. I don't like to drag my boat through Seattle and launch up there out of Shoal Shoal. So I'll go the back route out through Silverdale and Bremerton area, launch out of some smaller marinas on that west side, which works out pretty well because there's hardly anybody ever there. And it's about a 10 or 15-minute boat ride out of the marina to get to where you want to fish. And then you pop out from under the bridge and you're right there off the point of Jeff Head and some other areas up there in Area 10. So it's pretty convenient.
Nice. Nice. And it's usually pretty reliable.
Usually pretty reliable. Like we'll get this year is a little frustrating. That north of Falcon process I was talking about earlier, they really handcuffed us on some of those fisheries, but Area 9 is just north of Area 10, and that's that Everett fishery you're thinking about. It opens for Chinook July 16th, which we'll go up there and fish, and it's open for 3 days. Problem is, Jordan decided to schedule his wedding July 18th, and we're hosting the wedding here at the house. And
You're
we
not going
got,
fishing.
no, we are. Check this out. We have, we have rehearsal dinner and everything here at the house the evening of the 16th. But my buddy who's officiating the wedding is coming over from Idaho, and Jordan's got a buddy coming down from Alaska. And I had already told the family, hey, the 16th is the Chinook opener in Area 9. We cannot miss out on fishing and filming for the show. I need the content. And we got it. And they're like, well, as long as you're home in time for, rehearsal dinner. So we're going to go fish that morning. And then I probably can't fish the other 2 days of that opener. It's like most of these fisheries directed in the summertime here in Puget Sound. It is a quota-based fishery. You either are subjected to a quota of numbers of fish we can catch or a marked encounter rate on sublegals, subadult fish, or encounters on wild fish. So they got all these numbers they throw into these models, and whatever we run up against first, either we hit the quota, which typically isn't the case, or we catch too many immature fish or too many wild fish, they shut us down. So we're gonna get um, we're gonna get 3 or 4 days. Maybe they'll come back the following weekend with a day or two. We'll see. Um, the opener in that Area 10 I'm talking about for Chinook is the following week, 23, 24, I believe it is. The other thing we got going on is Baker Lake up there just at the base of Mount Baker. That
Okay.
has a phenomenal sockeye fishery. That sockeye fishery will open July 11th. And previously to understanding when the wedding was, I was like, we're gonna go up there, we're gonna fish for a week. We're gonna fish for a week, man. I'm making sure we got a place to stay. We're gonna go out. I think the retention this year on sockeye is 4 apiece per day. I thought, holy shit, we're gonna come home with like 20 sockeye a piece. Yeah, well, I'm gonna get up there for 2 or 3 days and we gotta get our ass home so we can get ready for the wedding. But
Ah,
we will get some we will get some sockeye fishing in, then we'll get a couple days of Chinook in, and then we'll get through that. But when Jordan gets back from his honeymoon, he's going to Jamaica apparently. I told him he's going to end up with 3 jobs by the time he comes back. August. August is the infamous Buoy 10, Lower Columbia River, right? That's going to be pretty spectacular. I think we have 600,000 Chinook coming back, 700,000 coho. Those are pretty
okay.
high numbers.
So, and I know what you mean, but for the people that aren't aware of how fisheries and hatcheries work,
Uh,
explain to everybody what you mean by we have 700,000 coming back.
well, so we have, they do preseason forecasting and they run their test fisheries and they gauge based on a number of different things they put into these fish program models. Like they can estimate how many fish are returning to the main stem Columbia River. Now, those fish are going into the Columbia River and then they're going into all the tributaries. I mean, name rivers all the way. And for those that don't understand Washington State, like there are a number of hydroelectric dams on the Columbia River that these fish have to get through the fish passages and get up to before they eventually get up to Bonneville, which is the largest dam, the last one in line. And once those fish make it past Bonneville, they're basically on the east side of the state at that point. And then a number of those fish make it to that upper side of the state. Now, you have several different strains of fish in the Columbia River. Like the URB, the upriver bright, is the coveted fish that everybody wants. Why? Because when it comes to Chinook salmon, do you want a salmon that is going to hit a tributary in the lower Columbia River that doesn't have to migrate, but say 50 miles? Or do you want a fish that has to travel 450 miles plus? In the lower river, you want to catch that fish that has to go 450 miles plus. Why? Well, because their fat stores are tenfold of what that lower fish fat stores would be. You tracking? Like
Yep.
those fish have to go so much farther that by nature they put on a tremendous amount of fat, which equates to a lot of oil, which equates to a lot of amazing flavor. So you want those upriver brights. You have lower river tules and all these different types of fish they've introduced into the system. Most of your tules are hatchery produced fish. And how do we know they're hatchery fish? Because when they're juvenile fish in the hatchery environment, before release, they clip off the adipose fin on those fish. So when you catch them out there in the river, and certain times of the year, you can retain hatchery fish only, or it's non-select, like you can catch wild indoor hatchery and you can retain that fish. It's at times a moving target as far as the regulations. Like it might be open for a week for both hatchery and wild retention, and then it goes to hatchery retention, and then towards the end of season it might open up again for some wild retention. But you got to know what those dates are and which area you're fishing to retain a specific, fish at that time. But whether those fish are hatchery or wild and they're an upriver bright, it really doesn't matter. The quality of that meat and the quality of that fish is going to be equal. For anybody that says, "Yeah, I really only like to retain wild fish because they're so much better tasting," you're full of shit. You can't tell the difference. Uh, you know, when that fish hits the table, I guarantee it. You can do the old Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola taste test, right? Blindfold, and you tell me which one of those are wild. You ain't gonna be able to tell the difference. You're full of crap. So, um, the key is to get that upriver bright, and you can tell the difference if you've done it long enough. You can look at that fish and tell, is this a tule, a lower river, lower grade fish, or is this truly an upriver bright with a lot of fat stores and really a bountiful fish that you want to go after. But um, numbers that exceed 500,000 as far as that many fish coming into that lower river, those are great numbers that support a really good fishery. I mean, we're talking opportunity to have 30 plus hookups a day
Wow.
and sorting through fish that you want to fish. And it used to be a predominantly a bait fishery, like trolling herring, um, and inline triangle rotating flashers. And now it's really become more of an 11-inch type flasher, a rotating 360 flasher with shorter leaders and artificial spinners. Yakima Baits come out with a new mini cut plug type style plug or spin fish. Brad's has the long-standing tradition of the different lures they produce in some of their artificials, but we're talking plastic stuffer bait type lures that you put. One of the go-tos is tuna mixed with krill, maybe some anise, a couple of different combinations or mixtures thereof. You want to put out different scents, different baits. You want to stuff different things into those stuffer baits to see what the fish really respond to, because on any given day, one thing could set them off versus another. So it's pretty technical at times. You really gotta understand the tides. The bottom line is on that lower Columbia, it's moving a lot of water, and the tides can be huge, right? So it's all about to know where to be and when, based on what that tide's doing and where those fish are going to want to go to. And as long as you get that game figured out, you probably have a chance of being pretty successful. But that runs for the whole month of August.
Okay.
And the only thing that makes it more challenging or not, to be quite honest, is the tides. Really big tides make fishing down there a little tough because you got a lot of water moving, a lot of strong current. A little softer tides, a little easier to fish, a little easier to find them. So, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. I'm actually mooring my boat down there out of the Port of Chinook for the entire month of August, and going to set up a fish camp down there in a camper with at a buddy's property. And we're gonna literally go down there, fish 3, 4, 5 days, come home for a couple days, go back down 3, 4, 5 days, come home for a couple days. So it's gonna be a busy month in August, that's for sure.
That's what I like to hear.
You're,
That's what I like
you're
to
too
hear.
busy in August to come up here and do that. You got other worldly adventures probably going on in August, so you wouldn't be able to
I
do that kind of thing.
let's talk offline.
Yeah, okay.
It's funny because I have in July while your son's getting married, I'm gonna be in Alaska.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm gonna be in Sitka, and
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go back. Uh, that that would be I'm gonna supposed to be July 14th through the 19th in Sitka, and then I'm supposed to go up to Juneau and go hunting sometime in
Oh,
August. But
oh,
there's something in my head I want to throw at you, but
yeah.
let's talk about it offline because
It works for me.
there's some stuff going on you're not aware of, and I need to catch up. Uh,
Yeah. Cool.
by that time, now you're talking hunting season. You're talking September.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
So September's great because it also is on the doorstep of some of our other fisheries just down the road here, our Grays Harbor region that open up out there in the out there in the Bay of Grays Harbor. Get a great coho opportunity. Some of the biggest coho in the state run out of this Grays Harbor region, about hour and a half from the house here. Could be a really fun fishery, taking the bigger boat out there into the marine area. But boy, I tell you what, once we hit October 1 and all these tributary rivers open, now we're into some of the favorite time of the year, man. Eggs under bobbers, catching
really,
Chinook and big coho in the rivers. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cast an egg, we catch all these fish all summer long and we cure up all that roe, all those egg skeins. And we're literally just fishing chunks of cured up egg skein under bobbers in the rivers and just crushing the Chinook and coho and twitching jigs and throwing spinners and doing a handful of things. But when you spend all spring and summer running in the power boats up and down the Columbia River and out there in Puget Sound and out there in the ocean, targeting, you know, the Chinook and coho. And then we just got back last week. We went out and had a successful halibut and lingcod and rockfish outing. And we got some days we'll be out there chasing tuna. And, when we're done doing all that and we get into the rivers, it's nice to get in the drift boat, row and float down the rivers, hit hole after hole, quiet, surreal, all away from that motor noise, away from all those massive crowds of people. Although some of these small river tributary fisheries get pretty crowded too, but that's why we try to fish weekdays, stay
yeah,
away from the crowds. But
that's me, man. I'm a weekday guy.
yeah,
I hate fishing
yeah.
on the weekend unless I'm
So,
out of the country that it
right.
doesn't really matter. Anytime I'm in the States, I want to go fishing Monday through Friday. I don't want to deal with the
Oh,
crowds.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And actually anymore, it's become a Tuesday through Thursday. Too many people have Mondays and Fridays off.
Uh, okay.
So, yeah.
I get it.
But
Listen, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I'm fucking keen, man.
yeah, that's go time. So,
That is, you don't have to
um,
deal with
we look forward
anybody.
to it. We look forward to that fall fishing, but you're right, it kind of gets interrupted by hunting, deer season, elk season, that's all happening about the same time. September, yeah, muzzleloader for elk. It gets busy, man. You got to pick your poison. The more I started hunting, the more it interfered with some of my fall fishing. I was like, gosh darn it, I want to be on the river drowning bobbers right now, but I got to go kill a deer. So it's
Gosh darn
no,
it,
it's just
I gotta go
first
kill a
world
deer.
problems. I know, first world problems, but it's all good,
Ah!
right? So,
Listen,
but
remember what I said. That meat doesn't come on a styrofoam tray.
no,
That's not the natural version, man.
no. And you know what? There's so much satisfaction in sitting here in the kitchen, bringing another tote of meat and sitting down at the table with my granddaughter, and we're just carving up our own meat and just teaching her the whole process. And you don't send anything off to a butcher and let them screw up your meat and stuff, man. We process it all our own. We package it all our own. We grind our own meat. We just, we add as much pork fat as we choose to do or not, and just from start to finish, right? It's all about preserving your kill and then processing all your own meat. You decide how you want to cut it up. You decide how you want to make that steak or butterfly or whatever. And that just there's a lot of satisfaction in that. And then you throw that stuff on the Traeger and invite friends over, and the first time they put that amazing venison in their mouth, they're like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Right? Because you've taken the time to get all the gray matter off, you've trimmed all that excess nasty
Exactly.
fat, and you grill that thing up, and the flavor is so amazing because you take the time to put into it, because you know the end result is going to be so much better if you get all that gaminess off of it. And people don't understand that. It's like, oh man, I had deer one time. It was so nasty taste. I'm like, well, that's the fault of the guy or gal that you were sitting down the table with, right? It's their fault. They
Exactly.
do right. So, yeah, a little extra effort goes a long way, man.
I
So,
This year, I think it was the second week of April, Naomi said, "Oh, this was great. Was that?" I think she asked me if it was buffalo. And I said, actually, that one was buffalo. She goes, "Oh, it tasted great." I says, "You haven't had beef all year long." She's like, "What?"
what?
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, you've had elk, you've had
Uh-huh.
deer, you've had
Yep.
antelope, you've had buffalo." She's like, and she, when we first started dating, there was no game. There's no game. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now, I mean, first of all, we've been together 11 years now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
she knows, I got a bunch of friends that we go hunting all the time. I say all the time. We try to do 2 or 3 trips a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the one that's cooking. So
Yeah.
and it's not like I'm like, here's a piece of deer. I cooked her some antelope and I had made shrimp and antelope lo mein. She had
Oh,
no clue.
yeah.
It's it's antelope. It's no. I cooked it like if it was a piece of steak in there, and it was delicious.
Yep. Yep. She would never know. Now you tell people what they're eating before they eat it, then they get a preconceived notion. Like
You
they're, oh, I
you
ain't eating that shit.
never you never
Mm-mm.
tell them.
No, my dad will not eat venison, according to him, right? Because he grew up on a dairy farm, and somebody hit a deer with a truck and bring it to my grandpa, and my
Oh,
grandma would butcher it up and cut it, and she'd overcook it, and grew up eating, nasty tasting deer. Like
run over
dad's like, no, I
deer.
ain't eating it. So then we bring him over to the house and cook up steaks on the Traeger and throw it on the plate. And oh my gosh, this is amazing. What is it? Yeah, it's that blacktail I shot last November, So holy cow, this is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing when you do it right.
When you
Like,
do it right.
it's right. And guess what? There's no chemicals in that meat either, right?
That's
Pure
that's what
100%
I like
natural.
about it. There's no
Yep.
chemical, there's no preservatives, there's no
Nothing.
antibiotics.
No. It's like people that don't want to eat goose and duck. They're like, oh, fowl is so foul. It's like, really, it's not. And a lot of people don't understand this. It is so safe. Like one of the raws, you could literally cut a breast out of a duck and eat it, and you're not going to get anything. Like there's, like with chickens and farm raised
Oh,
animals and things like that, you got a
the
lot of
salmonella.
concern for, yeah, all different types of things. You don't get that in natural waterfowl. It just doesn't exist. It's not there. But you can barely cook that stuff and eat it. It tastes amazing and it's so good for you. It's so rich in iron and all that. I mean, look how red that meat is
Yeah.
when
Now,
out of a
what
Canadian
what
goose.
kind of duck hunting do you guys get here in Washington?
I mean, name a duck species.
I,
There's,
I,
there's,
I'm in Florida. By the time they get to
yeah,
Florida, they
yeah.
they're eating swamp shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
I really like we had a phenomenal hunt over the cornfields for mallards last season,
okay.
one of our days, and lay down blinds. I mean, we shot a 6-man limit within a couple hours because they were fighting over to get into the decoys, and everything we killed ended up being a mallard, which corn-fed mallards are like some of the biggest, best tasting duck breasts that you can get a hold of. But there's I'm not like the top-notch waterfowl hunter here. I go with
Yeah,
buddies that are established in their programs, and there's a lot of variety. I mean, redheads taste pretty good. I'm talking ducks.
yeah,
So,
my
um,
man.
yeah, there you go. Get in trouble on certain elements. You say that.
Gosh, watch
Yeah,
the clip. It might
there.
get clipped. It might get
Yes,
accidentally clipped.
there's uh, there's a lot of puddle ducks. Little puddle duck, shit ducks that run around, and you usually don't hunt them. I like the bigger birds. I
Okay.
like teal are pretty good. Um,
Do you get the
most
blue
of the
and the
hunts.
green wing teal up here?
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, mostly I do like I like a good mallard hunt though. It's just a bigger bird, a lot more bang for your buck. And certain times of the year, certain areas, that's pretty much what you get into. And then of course, you got snow geese, Canadian geese, and to me they all taste good. I like all of them, but I try to stay away from the little puddle ducks.
Okay.
And you definitely don't hunt and eat mergansers or cormorants because you get duck that tastes like fish. So
Ugh, nasty.
yeah,
Nasty.
gross.
No,
So
I've only had goose a couple of times and I didn't
you
like it. I'd
didn't
like
like
to
it,
I would like to try it somewhat. So being growing up in Florida, but the ducks we got there, to me, I just didn't like the taste of them. But once I started hunting in the middle of the country, uh, like Louisiana,
yeah,
Mississippi, now you're talking something different and
sure,
they're very tasty.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're very
A
tasty.
lot of it has to do with their environment, what they eat predominantly. So, um, no, I look forward to it. We hunt a handful of times a year. Like I said, I'm not a guy sitting on a pile of decoys and duck blinds and stuff. I go with buddies who are established in
That
that. And I can duck call pretty good, but I just let other guys do all the work. I just like to pull the trigger. So,
that's
but
me. One, I will not go in the state of Florida. I really won't go anywhere duck hunting alone because somebody will say, "Oh no, you can't shoot that one. That's a blank duck."
right.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
bro, if
Huh?
it's flying, it's dying.
It's
And
dying, yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
no,
you
no.
didn't you didn't take your bird identification test, you can't hunt, right? So, yeah, yeah,
No.
it's a good time. But uh, what else? We're just grinding away, man. Every other week we're in studio producing two shows
Okay.
and traveling around, filming as much as we can, fishing, hunting, and whatever else we're doing. We started this conversation off, and then you made me stop because you said you're already getting into good shit. I was going to tell you about the Fallen Outdoors event we did
Tell me
last
about it.
weekend. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Second annual Fallen Outdoors event.
Oh,
The
wait a second.
the
Time out a
joint.
second. Hold on. You were starting to tell me when we were not recording, and I
Correct.
wanted, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
cut you off while we were doing this. Anyway,
No.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, this is exactly what I want you to
Yes.
talk about.
No. It's where we
Okay.
started talking about it, and then you're like, "Hold on, we got to hit record." So,
Yeah.
for this particular the Joint Base Lewis McCord chapter, Fallen Outdoors, their second annual event they held out there at American Lake, Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And this year, Shane Hunter is the lead on that, and he brought together 32 boats, I think, and about 100 and what do you say, 130 veterans. We got out on the water, trout
Wow.
and kokanee fishing, yeah. And show up, get a couple of veterans assigned to my boat, and Jordan and I we took him out fishing, and he was filming, and I'm running the boat, and had a great time. The day before we were on Puget Sound fishing, it was 75 degrees, no wind, and absolutely gorgeous. And it was supposed to be like that Saturday morning. And we show up and fog rolled in, wind was blowing like crazy. The lake was white capping. It was
Oh,
about 40 something degrees. Everybody showed up in their shorts and flip flops. And I got a nice cabin on my boat. So those guys were all cold inside the cabin, staying warm. And I'm out there. I literally put on my bibs and my raincoat to keep me out of the wind. And I'm out there running the gear. And when a downrigger or a lead rod would go off with a trout or a kokanee, they'd come out of the cabin, fight the fish. Jordan would come out and film. I'd get done grabbing it, throwing it back, whatever. Everybody else would go back in the cabin. I'd stay out there re-rigging and go. So it was about 4 hours. it was 5 hours. It was a good time. We caught a bunch of trout and some kokanee. Those guys didn't want to keep any fish, which made it easier on me. But we just had a great time just hanging out with some vets that, doing their thing, either previously served or serving this country, and out there Memorial Day weekend, just enjoying, again, being with community, right? Being
Yeah,
with a group of like-minded people. Look, firemen and soldiers, you get along great because you're both all about service, and you
exactly.
have stories and history, and just it's easy to connect with those guys. And um, when you are in that line of work, whether it's emergency services or armed forces, time on the water is time away, especially in your head. Like that's a great release to get out there and just interact with other people and be on the water. And that's really what it's all about. So leave the demons at home, get out there, enjoy the water and freaking camaraderie, and learn a little bit about their past and some of the things they've done and gone and done. And they're learning about what I've done and my past history and my career and things like that. And then come together after time on the water, and they had a barbecue and a little awards thing, and it was just it's really cool. It's like I said, it's their second annual. Of all things, next year we're going to move it to Summit Lake, and we'll be out there in my old neighborhood, and we're going to
Perfect.
go fish a different lake. Yeah, just something change it up a little bit, but all them veterans had a great time, and it was well organized, and to see that many people out on boats smiling and having a good day. I mean, it's what it's all about. It's just, and it was cool because we did the kids derby, and the following Saturday we're doing a veterans event. And Jordan, I just feel like, this is a time of year where we can spend a couple days just trying to give back or trying to help the community or trying to, you know, it in my mind, the kids derby is recruitment, the veterans outing like that is retainment. Like some of these old guys been fishing and stuff for years, thinking about maybe, I don't know how much more I'm going to be out doing this, but you get them out there a day like that, they enjoy it. Now they're kind of like, man, I do still enjoy this. I still want to continue to do this. And that's that retainment factor that's so important too, right? In mentorship. So it was just a good time, very rewarding. I went away from there. I felt like we did a good thing, and we had a great time and met some new folks, and I got a new hunting contact for the east side, so it's all good.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's what it's all
It's
about,
all about
man.
contacts, man.
And networking, that's right. Yeah. So
I
can't wait.
no, that's cool as shit, man. That's cool as shit. Am I gonna see you at Westport this year?
Well, you want the true update, dude? Along with all this stuff that we've been doing and trying to produce the show, and I got a shit ton of landscaping. I'm busting my back out here on the property, upgrading the front and backyard. I was going to do it anyway, but Jordan's wedding coming makes me have to kind of expedite that whole
A little
process.
faster.
It takes a while for grass seed to grow, so you got to get that shit in the ground. But got all these projects going on. I put a post out on my Facebook page if folks are gonna, maybe look there and follow me. But literally in the last 4 weeks, um, my dad, who's 86, suffered a minor little head bleed. They finally categorized it as a minor stroke, and so he ended up in and out of the hospital, and then he ended up a little rehab facility where he's still at. So he's kind of on the sideline right now, getting his bearings squared away. My granddaughter Harper, after the kids' derby, a couple days later, she smacked her head against a tree. Yeah, on a swing, and she got her on her I think it was on her right side, kind of this orbital area. She suffered a real minor fracture and
Oh
a
no.
real slight head bleed that they're concerned about, but it looks like it's all clearing up and she's going to be fine. But lo and behold, of all things, Saturday we are you've been to a wedding shower?
A wedding. Oh, yeah, like a bridal shower.
Yeah, but it's a couple shower.
Okay. No,
Like,
I've never listen, I'm still a little
yeah.
old school.
Yeah,
Bachelor
well,
party, wedding shower.
yeah, well, bridal shower,
Bridal,
bachelor
exactly.
party. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So no, my our kids, they're like, we're having a wedding shower. So mom and dad
Okay.
have to go and couples have so here we go attend our first wedding shower. Not that Sherry hasn't been to bridal showers, right?
Yeah.
But So we go to the wedding shower, and my son and some of his groomsmen are there, and just, we're hanging out. It's at one of their friends' houses. We didn't have to host it, which was nice because I got too many projects going on here at the house, but we are there. And it's wrap up time. We're kind of grabbing stuff, and Sherry and I are going to go because it's no 20 minutes from where my dad's at the rehab place. It's a little up north from us here. So we're going to go visit mom and dad before we head for home. I shit you not. We were loading up boxes and stuff, and she steps off the step on the deck and missteps, goes down. I was right next to her. She goes down hard, rolls, fly. I look over and I see her right foot angulated, and I'm like, oh shit. And I grab her, sit her on her butt, jump around to her front. I grab her lower leg, pull a little traction, and realign her ankle. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm okay. Just let me up. I said, no, you're not getting up. I saw the square end of her bone like pushing against her skin before I realigned her ankle, right? And I'm like, I'm holding her right foot now, keeping it in line. And I think the onset of it, she went into shock right away because she didn't realize.
She
And
never
she's
felt the
like,
pain.
she did. And she just looks at me. She goes, what are you doing? I'm fine. Just let me get up. And I said, no, you literally just broke your leg. You broke your ankle. She's like, I did not. I took my one hand off of it. It moved a little. She saw how her bone was sticking, and and then I held it again. I'm like, you're not getting up. And she goes, yeah, maybe it does hurt a little bit, right? And so then and everybody's like, is she okay? Is she okay? I looked up. I don't even know who I looked at. I just said, call 911. I said, we need somebody here to get a splint on this thing, and I don't have anything here. So fire department shows up. They put a vacuum splint on it. I held it the whole time, and they took her vitals, and she was good. And they're like, well, we're going to advise that go to the hospital with us. And she looks at me, she goes, I think you can just take me to the hospital, right? Now she's Wyoming strong. So, she's like, I'm good. She goes, honey, you just take me to the hospital. I'm like, well, we're in the F-250. Gonna have to get you in. So take her out to the truck. She goes, I think I'll be more comfortable with my legs up on the dash. So here we are, riding to the hospital. Her foot's up on the dash in the vacuum splint, right? Big orange flag as we're sailing down the road. And we get into the ER. We check her in. It wasn't busy. Saturday on Memorial Day weekend in an ER here outside of Olympia wasn't busy. I was like, are you shitting me? She gets assigned a doctor. They go to X-ray. They took the splint off and the thing's swollen up huge. They go to X-ray, and then they come back and they go, we got to put you in a room. We got to realign your lower leg. It's definitely broken.
Ugh.
And she's like, oh, there's no way. And I told her on the drive down, I won't tell you what I was going to bet her, but I said, I said, that thing is broken and you're going to need surgery. And she goes, there's no way. If it's anything, it's sprained. I said, I guarantee you it's broken. You're going to need surgery. We get there. The doc comes in, he pops the x-ray up. He goes, boy, you did it good. We're going to have to wrap this thing up in a splint, in a fiberglass splint. We're going to mobilize it from the knee down. So you cannot move your lower leg. We got to wait for the swelling to go down. You're going to need surgery in about 2 weeks. And he shows me x-ray. She broke it in three different locations.
No.
She broke her tib and her fibula, and she broke both those bones, three different locations. She rolled it good, dude. I mean, this was
Wow.
just Saturday too. She's literally laying in the bedroom all propped up right now. So I can sit here and talk to you. But um, all that's been going on. You started this conversation asking me if we're going to be
Am
at
I going to see
the
you at the at
WTC.
Westport? Yeah.
We were planning to be there. I actually called Ryan today um, to discuss the fact that one of his guys reached out to say, "Hey, you guys going to be there this year with your trailer selling merchandise? And can we promote the WTC on your show? Will you have time to bring somebody on the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Now it's like we're not going to probably be down there because we might. I'm not going to say no, but
Yeah,
it'll be post-surgery. She'll be in a boot still
yeah.
or a cast. But if we're there, we may or may not be with the trailer and all the merchandise, but we may be there. But more to
I
talk to
wasn't asking as much uh for whether you're going to be there as much as am I going to see you
if you're going
soon?
to see me.
Am I going to see you
Right.
soon?
Yeah.
That
Gotcha.
was more of the question. Am I going to see you
Yeah.
soon?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
know, so
uh, I hope at a minimal to make an appearance now. It'd be great to see you.
yeah,
But
that'll be good. Yeah, listen, I look forward
yeah,
to it every year. I enjoy it. It's uh I don't even want to call it a labor of love. I like it because I like hanging out with all the military guys,
yeah, it's awesome.
active and
Hmm.
retired.
Yep.
Last year we had there's these three kids. They came right from JBLM
Wow.
and they're like 18 years old, 19 years old. And Steve-O was talking with them and they're kind of wide-eyed. They're just happy to get off the base.
For
And
sure.
I'm like, you guys fishing the tournament? Yeah, yeah, we're fishing the tournament. Steve-O's like, here's Fly, here's our tournament director. I go, listen, guys, I've been here for a week. There's a pack of like six cougars out there. If they see three fucking military guys like yourself, we may not see you again.
You may not make the tournament. Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
what? Huh? I
Huh?
said, listen, man, if you go
Yeah.
AWOL on me and your
Hmm.
fucking boss calls me up, no, 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 no. Listen, be careful when you go out to that.
That's hilarious. One thing I like about that tournament that you guys added was the Friday for the salmon derby as
Yeah,
well.
we're gonna add that this year. The salmon. We're
Yeah.
doing the Friday Derby on the Salmon Derby on Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
We're gonna do it both days.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We're
That's
gonna do it.
great. Yeah.
We're gonna do it both days.
Gives guys some options. And if the ocean turns to shit and the tuna's not going to be really all that great, it turns
That's
into a
the
salmon derby,
Salmon Derby.
something to do. Yeah, for sure. So you got a backup plan within the plan, which I mean, probably going to hit it good, and hopefully the ocean plays well. But it's pretty well attended. We got another event that goes on over there in Oahu, and one of the problems the last couple of years is those things have been on the same doggone weekend. It sounds
Yeah.
like this year again we're far enough apart, which is great because we try to attend both of those. We're involved in both of those camps. So, no, we're hoping to be there. I'll talk to you more about that, and I'll talk to Ryan, and hopefully you can figure it out. And what capacity will be there, I don't know, but it'd be nothing at a minimum. Be great just to come down and see you guys and
Yeah,
hang
just
out.
come hang out, have some food, share some fellowship,
Yep,
and
yep,
it's amazing. I've stayed in touch with so many of the guys I've met over the year. One of the guys, ironically, Gravy, Greg Coker, I met him up here. He lives
yeah.
in Dallas, but his neurologist is 5 miles from my house that he flies
Oh shit.
into every year. So
Oh,
I met him up here, and now every year when he comes to see his doctor, I just saw him last week. He was in town, and I got again somebody I met up here, one of these
yeah,
military guys, and I just love staying up in touch with him, make sure he's
yeah.
good.
It's all about connections and building relationships, man. That's what it is.
That's
Comes back to it. I
it,
always say it, fishing brings people together. That's
it
the beauty of it.
it absolutely does, and that's
Hmm.
what I love about it.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I get to
Yep.
travel all
Yeah.
over the world and go fishing. So,
Yeah. Yes, you do. I'm envious.
uh, if people want to watch you, follow you, reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Give us all your
Yeah.
smoke screens and passenger pigeons.
Yeah. Fish Hunt Northwest. And you can track us down at www.fishhuntnw.com and find all our social medias. They're all linked there on the webpage. We stream our show every other Thursday, live stream on Facebook and YouTube. And then that show, post show editing, I stitch it together and send off what I need to. But every Sunday evening, nationwide, 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, be 11:30 East Coast. But Sunday evening, 8:30 here on the Pursuit channel. And you can also, they branch out from the Pursuit channel to Pursuit Plus and Pursuit Up, which is the streaming platforms. Now, in comparison, when we were local here, 5 states on Root Sports was in about 1.2 million households. The Pursuit channel, much like Outdoor Channel and Sportsman Channel, Pursuit channel is in 26 million homes nationwide. And on the streaming platforms where you're going to find Pursuit Plus and Pursuit Up, they have 100 million users per month.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we're the new kid on the block. We're trying to get national recognition and following. I'm starting to see folks logging in and signing in or following on our social media platforms from Tennessee, Illinois, name a state. Probably got new followers from any of them. But it's kind of cool to see because we didn't have that kind of reach on a regional network out here in the Northwest. But now that we're on a national platform, I'm seeing people from all over the nation, and it's interesting because if you go to Pursuit Channel, Outdoor Channel, Sportsman Channel, there is not a lot, if any, Northwest content,
No.
right? There really isn't. So people ask me, Duane, well, you're going national. Are you going to like go to Louisiana, fish redfish? You go down to Florida and fish tarpon? And I'm like, dude, we are fish hunt Northwest. Like people are going to watch us catch everything and anything up here in the Northwest. And yeah, I might even throw a bass episode in once in a while,
A pickle.
It's like
A
a
pickle.
ditch pickle. How many ditch pickles can you catch in a single day, right? So, I look, I grew up fishing bass. I have a love for bass. There's so
Love
many
the
other things.
name, dude.
Ditch pickle. We've been calling them that for years. We used to interview guys on the BASS tour on the radio show Saturday morning, and Shangle, the lead on that thing, would look at me and Bill and say, "Do not," and I mean, do not either of you say ditch pickle in this entire interview. Come on, who's gonna slip it in there, right? So didn't want to offend anybody, but look,
Fuck, that's the best part. Offending
yeah,
somebody.
yeah, bass and trout. We get accused of being salmon snobs up here in the Northwest because typically we're fishing out of things that swim pretty fast and are chrome and shiny, right?
Yeah.
So when you start mixing in green fish, you kind of go, "What? That's why would you do that? You didn't catch that thing in a ditch." So, bass are fun. We did a smallmouth episode last year. Had an absolute blast. It was fantastic. Sight fishing over spawning beds. It was great. Loved it. And any of those fisheries are kicking the pants. I love to do it. But no, we cover all those fisheries up here in the Northwest. I want to bring people across the nation. I want to show you, if you're not familiar at all, you are truly going to see us catching salmon in the Pacific Ocean. And then a little, like I mentioned at the start of our conversation, a little while later, we're going to be in this area that you may not be familiar with called Puget Sound. Yes, it's salt water. What is it, right? And then we'll be in the freshwater river environment in a drift boat later on in the season, catching same exact Chinook and coho and everything that's swimming out there in the salt water. And wintertime, we're taking you down the river catching steelhead. And maybe we'll go to the east side of the state and do some of our cold water troll fisheries for big rainbows and big kokanee and stuff like that. So we're fishing year round. We're traveling all over Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and trying to introduce people to as much of this different types of fishing that we do out of all the different boats we have and all the access we have, and get people familiar with kind of how we approach business up here. It's a little different. It's a little different than other parts of the nation.
I absolutely love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where you find us though. Fishhuntnw.com.
Well,
That's
Duane,
what you
thank
want
you
to
so much for your time. 2 hours went by fast. I told you it was going to go
go
by
for.
fast.
Oh, I know.
I
Yeah.
wasn't
My
I
problem is
wasn't worried about it.
no, well, I talk too much, so it's
Yeah.
always easy. It's
Fuck, you talk too much. Dude.
I have a talk show. It's
Ah,
what I
listen,
do. So
I, I have a fucking podcast just so I can fucking listen to myself talk.
Yeah. I appreciate
So
the invite, Fly. It
no,
was nice to hear from
I
you,
listen,
dude.
I've been wanting to do it. Like I said, there's a couple things I want to tell you about, but
Yeah.
I've been wanting to get you on here, and we had a meeting on Sunday, and Will was asking about you, and I told Ryan, I says, "Oh, I need to reach out to him because I want to invite him on my podcast." And he goes, "I just sent him a text message, and I see
Good
it on
too.
my
Yeah.
phone."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it worked out. It worked out, and I some of my podcasts I have stretched out. Like I've got a couple like in 3 weeks, but a lot of times people are busy. Hey, you know, can you do it this week? And
Yeah.
you know, what does your next 2 weeks look like? When can
Yeah.
whatever's easiest on your time zone. I got a text message out to somebody in Australia. They just sent me an email today. They're like, "Hey man, when can I jump on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Okay,
Right.
let's get it lined up." So I've done it before where I'm sipping on coffee and somebody's drinking a rum and coke. So
Perfect. Yeah.
I
That's
don't care.
how it
That's what
works.
works out. And I want people to know what all of us do because the
Yeah.
guys that are fishing off of Bermuda are doing different than the guys off of California or the Pacific Northwest. But it
Yeah.
boils down to the fact that we all love being outside. And
Yep.
that's my biggest thing. I've had a few people from Alaska. I have had people from Canada. I don't care. Come on, talk. We're all the
Yeah. Good
fucking
stuff.
same,
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to reach out to you, and I reached out to the guy in Oregon, and uh,
Yeah.
I've got a couple feelers out for some of the wolf guys in
Oh,
Wyoming.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good stuff.
let's all of us together. I mean, it's no different than any other thing that we're dealing with in this country, except we deal with it in the outdoors.
And it comes down to the end of the day, it's all about passion and problems. You talk to anybody
Exactly.
on your show, you're going to walk through all the passion, like and what gets them excited, gets you up in the morning, gets you going, what you want to go do. And then there's always the shit ton of problems that you got to deal with just to go do what we want to do. And that's all that crap that you and I were talking about earlier,
Exactly.
right? Those are the problems. And it's finding balance between the two, the passion and the problems. You got to figure out how to navigate your way through it so that it becomes more passion than issues and
Yeah.
problems.
And listen,
Hmm.
there's guys, you that's dealing with the bears and the cats and the sea lions. It's no different than what we're dealing with sharks and they're dealing
Yeah,
with the fucking seals up there.
yeah,
How are you dealing with it? This is how we're dealing with it. Hey,
yeah.
if you help me, I'll help you. Because here's the thing, all those environmentalists, they're together. It doesn't matter where they're from.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no, no, we got to stick together and help each other out, you
We
know?
didn't even get going on CWD.
Oh boy.
You want to uncork the bottle, man. Let's
We,
talk about the bullshit deal that is CWD. Oh
yeah.
my God.
And listen, that's nationwide.
I know. Yeah,
That's
it's a farce.
nationwide.
I don't, yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. You have to have me back on again. We'll talk about
Yeah, no, no.
the
Listen,
extremes on
I,
CWD and the bait banding they've done up here statewide now, and just how much our Fish and Wildlife Commission hates hunters. I mean, it's unbelievable. It
listen,
really is unbelievable.
consider this an open invitation.
Yeah, buddy.
Anytime you want to come on and talk about anything you got going on, I'm happy to have you on. And
I gotta get you back on my show. You got to come and check out the new studio.
you let me know. You let me know.
Yeah,
All right,
buddy.
hold there. Let me sign off to everybody, and
You
then
got
we'll
it.
catch up really quickly. Everybody who's listening, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for Duane for joining us here, and everybody else. We will check you later.